Under Coelenterata, we have finished already the general characters of Coelenterata and classification. Under this, we will take one type study, and I shall give you the most important characteristics of that particular type study, that is Hydra. Because questions on this Hydra are being asked in AIMS, JIPMER, AFMC, even APMT and all. So the most important points I shall put before you. Hydra, it belongs to phylum Coelenterata and class Hydrozoa. This Hydra was discovered by Abraham Trimble. It was discovered by Abraham Trimble, and its animal nature was also noticed for the first time by Abraham Trimble. Now Hydra, it is a freshwater solitary organism here now. There are about 2 to 3 different species of Hydra. The first one, the most common one, is Hydra vulgaris. It is a colorless species here now. In Hydra vulgaris here now, tentacles are slightly longer than the body. Then you have another species, Hydra fusca, also called Hydra oligactis. It is also called Palmatohydra. This Hydra fusca or Hydra oligactis or Palmatohydra is the longest species among various Hydrae. And in Hydra fusca, the tentacles are much longer than the petal disc, and it is the only species which is unisexual, only Hydra which is unisexual. It is also called brown Hydra because it leads symbiotic life with brown algae called zooxanthillae. Leads symbiotic life with brown algae called zooxanthillae. Then you have another species, Chlorohydra or Hydra viridis. In this Hydra viridis, tentacles are shorter than the body. It is commonly called green Hydra because it leads symbiotic life with green alga called Zoochlorella. Okay, in both of them, Hydra fusca and Hydra viridis now, symbiotic relationship is noticed with the algae. The algal filaments are present in the nutritive cells or endothelial-muscular cells of the gastrodermis. And the algae provide oxygen, and they also provide certain amount of carbohydrates to Hydra. Hydra in turn provides shelter to the algae and provides ammonium compounds to the algal filaments. Then next we have another Hydra called Protohydra. Hydra, microhydra it is called. It is the smallest species and it is a Hydra without any tentacles. There are 4 species, Hydra vulgaris, which is a colorless one, the most common. Hydra fusca, which is also called Hydra oligactis or Palmatohydra. Then third one is Chlorohydra or Hydra viridis, green Hydra. Fourth one is Protohydra or microhydra without any tentacles and happens to be the smallest one. Now a Hydra body is divisible into the column, the middle part is called column, then the proximal pedal disc or basal disc, and the distal or oral end, where the hypostome it is called, and it is perforated by mouth here now. So it has got a distal hypostome perforated by mouth, proximal pedal disc or basal disc, and the middle part is called column here now. Now around hypostome about 6 to 10 tentacles, hollow tentacles are present here now. The tentacles are provided with stinging cells. They help in locomotion and food capture here now. Then Hydra, it is a diploblastic animal with outer epidermis or ectoderm, inner gastrodermis or endoderm, and the middle one is called mesoglia here now. Now the cells of the epidermis it has got number 1 epitheliomuscular cells. They form the bulk of the epidermis. Number 2 stinging cells. Number 3 gland cells. Number 4 sensory cells. Number 5, basal cells. So epitheliomuscular cells, they form bulk of the epidermis here now. And number 2, stinging cells. Stinging cells are the modified interstitial cells of the epidermis here now. Number 3, gland cells. Number 4, sensory cells. Okay, number 5, basal cells. These basal cells are also called interstitial cells. Interstitial cells of the epidermis are the totipotent cells in Hydra. They also give rise to the stinging cells here now. The stinging cells are also called nematoblasts. Nematoblasts here now. The stinging cell, it has got about 4 types of cells here now. Penetrant. Number 2, volvent. Number 3, holotrichous isorhiza. Number 4, atrichous isorhiza. Holotrichous and atrichous are also called glutinants. Volvent is also called desmoneme. Penetrant is also called stenotele. There are 4 types of cells are there. The penetrant is the largest one. It is meant for offense, defense, and is the largest. Then volvent or desmoneme here now, it is meant for only food capture. Then holotrichous and atrichous here now, they are also meant for food capture. Okay, sometimes they even help in anchorage here now. If we take the penetrant, which is a typical stinging cell, so this outer one is called nematoblast here now. Nematoblast is the outer one. Nematoblast in turn encloses the nematocyst. It has got a trigger called nidocyle. The nematocyst is held intact within the nematoblast by a restraining thread called lasso. A restraining thread called lasso. It has got a nucleus here now, and several contractile filaments are there which help in holding the nematocyst within the nematoblast here now. An exploded nematoblast, if we take here now, so this is the nematocyst here now. The nematocyst is deposited with a toxic substance called hypnotoxin. Hypnotoxin is a combination of proteins and phenols here now. When hypnotoxin is injected into the prey or a predator, it makes the prey or predator unconscious. Then it has got a swollen structure called butt or butt shaft. On the butt here now, there are 3 large spines. The large spines are called barbs or stylets, and 3 rows of small spines are also present on this. These small spines are called barbules or spinnerets. Barbules or spinnerets, and it has got a long thready tube. So when the nematoblast is irritated here now, the nematocyst, the thready tube which remains coiled within the nematocyst here now, it comes out forcibly, pushing the operculum aside and penetrates deeper into the body of the prey or predator, and thereby injects hypnotoxin here now, okay, to make the prey or predator unconscious. Those barbs and barbules which are present on the butt, they make injuries on the body of the prey, and thereby they facilitate the release of glutathione from the prey. Glutathione helps in swallowing of the food particle, that is, it relaxes the sphincter that lies around the mouth of the hypostome here now, and thereby enables Hydra to swallow food particles. Food particles, unless they discharge glutathione, they cannot be engulfed by Hydra here now. So the glutathione is released from the prey because of the lacerations caused on them by means of barbs and barbules. So this is a structure of a penetrant or a stenotale, which is mainly meant for food capture and sometimes even offense and defense. The second one, volvent or desmonym, it has got a highly coiled thready tube here now. It doesn't secrete hypnotoxin, but however it helps in holding the prey or predators by means of the highly coiled thready tube here now. The glutinants, Holotrichus isoryza and Atrichus isoryza, instead of secreting hypnotoxin, they secrete sticky substance that helps in holding the prey tight at the time of food capture. And if we take the cells of gastrodermis, gastrodermis has endothelial-muscular cells, which are also called nutritive cells. Number 2, sensory cells. Number 3, nerve cells. Number 4, gland cells. Number 5, interstitial cells. Interstitial cells. And stinging cells are absent in gastrodermis, because in Hydra, that is in all hydrozoans now, stinging cells originate only from the interstitial cells of epidermis. These endothelial-muscular cells now, they help in partial digestion of food. Apart from that, they also form circular muscle fibers. Their muscle tails, they form circular muscle fibers. And the muscle tails of epithelial-muscular cells form longitudinal muscle fibers. So longitudinal muscle fibers are formed by fusion of muscle tails of epithelial-muscular cells. Circular muscle fibers are formed by fusion of muscle tails of endothelial-muscular cells. Okay. Then digestion, if you take in Hydra, it is holozoic. It feeds on minute organisms like zooplanktons and phytoplanktons, preferably zooplanktons, which are capable of emitting glutathione. And digestion is partly intracellular and partly extracellular. That is, part of the food gets digested in gastrovascular cavity. Later on, it is engulfed by the endothelial-muscular cells for further digestion. The nerve cells they form two nerve nets. One nerve net lies below epidermis, the other one lies above gastrodermis, and both of them are present on either side of the mesoglia, connected to each other by nerve fibers. Diffuse type of nervous system is present in Hydra, and the neurons of Hydra are called protoneurons because they are noticed for the first time in cnidarians. The poriferans do not have nervous cells they are noticed for the first time in cnidarians. Respiration in Hydra is through body wall by diffusion process. Excretion also occurs through body wall by diffusion process, and Hydra happens to be a monotelic. Hydra vulgaris, unlike Palmatohydra, it is a bisexual animal. It has got a testis towards the hypostome and ovaries are present towards the basal disc. Okay. Fertilization is external, and life cycle involves a larva called planula. The ciliated free swimming larva settles down and thereby once again transforms into Hydra. The zygote undergoes equal holoblastic cleavage. Locomotion, Hydra exhibits different kinds of methods of locomotion like somersault method, number 1, number 2, looping method, number 3, climbing method, number 4, swimming, number 5, floating. Like that, it exhibits 4 to 5 methods of locomotion here now. Number 1, somersault, number 2, looping, number 3, climbing, number 4, floating, number 5, swimming, and these are the methods of locomotion in Hydra here now. So, all important characteristics of Hydra vulgaris. In case any question is given, you should be able to answer. Then I shall tell you, I shall put before you a few important characteristic features of phylum Ctenophora. Phylum Ctenophora is referred to as a minor phylum here now. Okay. And Ctenophora, it is called, they are all marine, exclusively marine animals here now, free swimming animals here now. They are also tissue graded animals, okay, and diploblastic tissue graded animals here now. They don't have stinging cells. The stinging cells are replaced by lasso cells. Stinging cells are replaced by lasso cells or coloblasts. The tentacles are provided with certain adhesive cells called lasso cells or coloblasts. They help in food capture. Okay. Stinging cells are absent. The only ctenophore with stinging cells is Eclora rubra. Eclora rubra is the only ctenophore with stinging cells. These ctenophores are commonly called comb jellies or sea walnuts. Commonly called comb jellies or sea walnuts. Locomotion in ctenophora is carried out by comb plates or teens. In the body, comb plates or teens or costa are present. Okay, about 8 comb plates or teens or costa are present. Due to presence of comb plates, they are called comb jellies. So they bring about locomotion here. And stinging cells are replaced by lasso cells or coloblasts, which secrete sticky substance that helps in food capture here. Then nutrition, like cnidaria, even here it is partly extracellular and partly intracellular. Then on the aboral side, they have got 2 solid tentacles here. 2 solid tentacles are present on the aboral side here. And all are hermaphrodites. They have got a characteristic larva called cydipid. Cydipid is the characteristic larva of ctenophores. And most of the ctenophores are bioluminescent. Okay, they emit light when they go deep into the bottom of the oceans and seas to detect the prey. Then examples for the ctenophora are Pleurobrachia, Harmifora, Cestum is also a ctenophore commonly called Venus girdle. Cestum is the ctenophore which is commonly called Venus girdle. Barrow is another ctenophore without tentacles. Barrow is another ctenophore without tentacles. Okay, so Pleurobrachia, Harmifora, then Cestum and Barrow are the examples. Among these, Cestum is commonly called Venus girdle. Okay, Pleurobrachia and Harmifora are the connecting links between Cnidaria and ctenophora. They exhibit even certain Cnidarian characteristics also. Barrow is another ctenophore without tentacles. Okay, Barrow is it belongs to order Nuda of ctenophora. It is without tentacles. So all important characteristic features of ctenophora.